Howdy gamers, and I'm sick of being called names like Gibdork, Wimp, Loser, Mr. Never Played Dead Space. Today that's all about to change. Today, I'm gonna play PT. Today, I'm gonna play Dead Space. Dead Space was one of those games that I heard people talk about how good it was, but never knew what it was about. I mean, one look at touch stick and you know exactly what type of game it is. A dictionary for the DS. Easy. Next question. But with Dead Space, before playing, I honestly just thought I was doing stuff in a spaceship running away from this monster on the box. And if you're wondering why all of a sudden I started playing it, it's because this is part of a series on the channel where I look at the top 100 games of all time and 26 honorable mentions. And Dead Space was the 24th honorable mention. But anyways, I should probably talk about what the game is actually about. Basically, a deep space mining ship goes dark and you're part of a team called the CEC that is there to repair the ship. Then some debris hits your ship and you go crashing down onto the ship you're supposed to be repairing. Then, once you're on the ship, you find out why the ship went dark. Aliens. You then go through chapters trying to get off the ship alive. That's just what happens in the first 10 minutes though. There's a lot more to the story than that. Not only does the story progress between you and your two surviving crewmates, Kendra and Hammond, but you also get to learn more about what happened on the ship, and soon you learn that there's a lot more than what meets the eye. I'm obviously not going to say what happens, but the way they tell the story with audio logs and text logs of the crew that was on the ship before you is just the best storytelling I've ever seen in a video game, and I'm not exaggerating. To be fair, other than Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the most story-based game I've really played is Yoshi's Cookie on the NES, but still, the fact that this game is a mystery the whole time, and you don't know what really happened on the ship till the very end, is some amazing storytelling. And the story is made even more believable by the amazing atmosphere of the ship. It's important for a horror game to have good atmosphere, otherwise you'll end up like something like The Letter for Wii U, where the only scary thing about the game was that it costs actual money. Fortunately, Dead Space does have amazing atmosphere, and someone might get mad at me for saying this, but honestly, Dead Space has atmosphere on par with Super Metroid. Every area in the game is perfectly lit that you can just feel the tension in the game. It's pretty easy to get creeped out while playing, and that's all thanks to the amazing atmosphere of this game. For example, there's this one place in the game where you get off the tram which you use to go from chapter to chapter, and after leaving the subway area, which is a lot like the save rooms in Resident Evil games where you feel nice and safe, you enter this mess of a room. There are dead bodies everywhere, lighting on the wall. On top of that though, you hear music. It's different than the normal instruments, instead it's children singing some nursery rhyme. You hear it echoing around, and if you decide to go the normal way, cool. But if you decide to wander off the beaten path, you enter this door, take a few steps, and you get jump scared by this necromorph. It's a perfect use of using the atmosphere around the player with the music and set design to build tension up to a jump scare. That's why the jump scares in Dead Space work. When I got jump scared by this game, I was never mad. I never thought, oh, what a cheap jump scare, because this game earns them. It first uses atmosphere to build genuine tension, and then jump scares you. Another nice use of atmosphere in this game is the cutscenes, and what I mean by that is they're all done in-engine. That might sound bad, but the graphics of Dead Space still hold up to this day, which means the gameplay and cutscenes still look good. And since the cutscenes are all done in-engine, there's never an obvious difference between cutscenes and gameplay, which really adds to the immersion. Another thing that adds to the immersion though, is the fact that there is no health bar on the screen, or anything of that sort. And the ammo is displayed when looking down the sights of your gun. They could have easily made it like every other video game and had a health bar and ammo counter on the screen, but they went the extra mile to make you feel really immersed in this game. Another thing that really adds to the immersion of Dead Space is the soundtrack. It's not really anything I'd use in a video or listen to on its own, but this is still one of the best video game soundtracks ever. It's almost all ambient songs used to build tension, and they work so perfectly. But the best part about the soundtrack is that even though usually it stays pretty quiet, sometimes the piano will start building up, and then when the jump scare happens, the music will react accordingly and just slam on the lowest keys on the keyboard and scare the crap out of you. Other times, it'll just be completely silent, which is just as scary, and then a necromorph will pop out and the same low keys on the piano will play. It's not just the music in the game that's good though, the sound design as a whole is amazing. There's a reason this game was nominated for 10 different sound related awards and won 8 of them. But continuing along with the atmosphere, the way the aliens are designed in this game looks so amazing. First off, like I said, the graphics in this game have aged really well. But not only do the necromorphs look good graphically, They just plain look good. Like, this looks amazing and deserves to be hung up on the fridge right next to Gex 3. Just how terrifying the monsters are should go to show how good of a horror game this is. Of course, to be fair, all I've talked about so far is the amazing atmosphere of this game, but I really need to talk about the actual gameplay. And it's pretty good. It's third person, which at first I wasn't sure if I was going to like, but the more I played, I realized that it fits this game really well and allowed for some good scares that would have been harder to pull off in first person. Also, the shooting feels really good, and one of the best parts about Dead Space is the unique mechanic of shooting off enemy limbs. Unlike most games, just shooting the enemy in the head isn't enough to take them down. Instead, you have to shoot off their limbs. It was really cool to see the game do that, and with all enemies looking pretty different, it can be really crazy at times when there's a lot of them on screen just trying to shoot off all their limbs. And the attention to detail here is just amazing. Depending on what limbs you shoot off, the necromorphs will act differently. So if you shoot off their legs, they'll crawl. If you shoot off their arms, they'll bite. It's the attention to detail with stuff like this that makes Dead Space just so good. Also, to make things easier, each weapon has a different firing mode if you press the right bumper, giving strategy to changing fire to hit the limbs easier. Anyways, one of the best bits of attention to detail in this game came from the quick time animations. Sometimes when necromorphs attack you, you'll get a quick time animation where you'll have to press A in order to get the monster off you. Not only are these really intense moments in gameplay that are a welcome addition, whether you fail it or not, you get an amazing animation. My favorite is this one, where I'm not entirely sure of what this necromorph is called, but it rips off your head and attaches itself to yours, and looks so disgusting, but at the same time, it looks so good. And it's the little things like this that just add up to make this game so good. Back to the gameplay, because it's more than just shooting off the limbs of necromorphs. I mean, it's mostly shooting off the necromorph limbs, but there's also a light emphasis on exploration. And I say light because it's mostly just, do you go where the game tells you to go, or do you go into the story along the way? It's never that far out of your way and feels really minimal, and it would have been cool if they had expanded on this part, closer to Super Metroid. If you're wondering what you can get for exploring, you usually get money and ammo, but sometimes you can get power nodes. You see, I wrote it out on a sheet of paper because I can't be bothered to do it. Power nodes are what you use to upgrade your equipment in the game. Whenever you get one, you can head over to a bench station and upgrade weapons, your suit, and your stasis meter. It's not like a normal upgrade system. Instead, you use your upgrade nodes to fill out slots. Because of this, you won't always be able to upgrade what you want, and I like that. I've honestly never seen anything like it before, where you don't always get to upgrade something. Also, some really cool attention to detail is whenever you fully upgrade the damage on a weapon, the firing animation will change. Nodes have a second use other than upgrading weapons though, and can also be used to open up locked rooms. This is a nice element of exploration, and in these rooms you can find audio logs, health kits, ammo, and money. The money that you get can be used at shops in the game. The cool thing is, you don't have everything in the shop right away. You first have to get item schematics, which you find by exploring. And you can't really hear it, but I said exploring with quotation marks, because for the most part, these schematics aren't really hidden and are just in lockers or these crates. I still like the idea of not having everything right away, but again, it would have been cool to see more of an exploration aspect. In addition to buying stuff though, you can also sell stuff, and an item you can find are the semiconductors, which are made to be sold. There's the bronze semiconductor, which can be sold for 1,000 credits, all the way to the diamond semiconductor, which can be sold for 25,000 credits. These are cool additions and add nice inventory management as whether you want to hold on to the semiconductors or hold on to more ammo. Another cool thing about the inventory, and basically just the way the menus work in this game in general, is when you open them, the game doesn't pause, which I know is not a new thing, but with the inventory, it adds a lot to the intensity of the game. Although you don't have to go to the inventory to heal, because let's face it, that would be awful if you were in combat. So instead, you can just press a button on your controller to heal, which is really nice. The map also works the same way too, with it coming up while you're playing, which is really nice for finding out where you're supposed to be going. But just like with the inventory, if you don't want to pull out the map, you can just press a button on your controller and it will show right where you're supposed to go. I know that BioShock did this first, but it's still really nice to have here. Also, I forgot to mention, but the map and inventory are linked to buttons on your controllers, so you never have to search through menus to find it. Another nice thing about the map screen is that it shows you your objectives. And if you go over a menu, you can view Isaac, the character you play as, and his insights as to what's happening, along with all the voice lines and text logs you had for that chapter. And Isaac's insight can be really helpful for stuff like puzzles, because this game has those, and although they aren't very hard, they are still a nice change of gameplay and feel natural, because after all, you are repairing a ship. A lot of the puzzles are just using stasis and kinesis, but it's still a nice addition. They don't completely take over the game, and some puzzles sort of come in the form of boss fights, where you have to find out the boss's weakness and then attack them accordingly. These boss fights were some of the best moments in the game, especially the final boss. There aren't too many bosses, unfortunately, and that's part of the reason why I'm not showing gameplay of them, because they're best experienced firsthand with no idea about what's about to happen. But the final thing I have to mention before I wrap up this review is this game has an amazing New Game Plus. Not only is watching the beginning cutscene after playing through the game so amazing because of what you now know, you can also go back and get the schematics you missed, because even though they weren't too hard to find for the most part, some of them were still kinda tricky. Also, you unlock a new suit upgrade after beating the game, and you can go back and fully upgrade every weapon with the power nodes, because you can't do that in just one playthrough. Or, if that doesn't sound like it's for you, you can restart the game from the beginning with the new impossible difficulty that you unlock. I've seen gameplay of it, and it seems, well, impossible, but I still think it would be fun to do one of these days. Overall, Dead Space is an amazing game, and to give this game a score of 100, I would honestly give it a 97 out of 100. I really recommend you check this game out. It's $10 used and $20 on Steam, and to give this game an award, I would even go as far as to give this the Best Horror Game award. To be fair, I've only played a few horror games. I played a bit of Resident Evil 4 and a bit of Resident Evil 7, but I did beat Resident Evil 3 Remake, but I still really like this game. I am a bit bummed out that I didn't get to play PT though. Although I guess after playing Dead Space, I'm a bit burnt out on horror games for the moment. I think I might check out that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the game. It looked fun. What the frick?!